ask, Netherlands is interesting because, as I say, you were pretty much the only European country that gave equipment to Ukraine without restrictions on use. Why were you concerned that that would create backlash, particularly given the rise of the populist right in Netherlands? And do you think you're paying a political price?
Well, to that last question, probably, as I'm now in a party that is in the opposition, whereas I think that my government did quite a good job when it comes to Ukraine, frankly. But I think the main reason is that we had in the beginning, let's say, just around the large-scale invasion when it happened, we had the right focus in the Netherlands, which was we must prioritize this war that is evolving. It must be our priority number 1, 2, and 3. And for that, we need to cooperate with other countries. We need to show unity, which we did. And I think that now that same unity is, well, not as strong as it was. And we say in Europe often we're united in diversity, but we're seeing too much diversity. And I think all governments, also my own government, current government in the Netherlands, they're facing other issues that take away the focus from the war in Ukraine, and that's a big problem. And of course we have our domestic issues, we're democracies, we have elections, we have problems that need to be solved for our own citizens. But if there's no security in Europe, if our security is threatened, that is the biggest problem of all, and that's why we have to stay united. But in the meantime, there is a coordination issue. I spent lots of time arguing with the Ministry of Defense. I spent time arguing with my own armed forces about how much we should send to Ukraine. I spent time calling all my colleagues to convince them to coordinate our efforts and to do more. I spent time with industry, asking them why they weren't producing more, what we could do to boost the production. And now we spend time in convincing politicians to spend our money here in Ukraine, on the Ukrainian industry, defense industry, they're doing a tremendous job but needs funding. And that should be our priority. And the second thing is, I think when you try to look into the heads of leaders, one thing that I noticed and still do is that many leaders feel compelled to say what we will not do. And I think that is a sign of weakness. If you stress all the time what we will not do, we will not put boots on the ground, we will not act when airspace is violated. We will respond when Putin says that NATO is at war with Russia by saying, no, we're not at war with Russia. I think we shouldn't do that. We should stress what we do and what we can do and what we can do more. And about all the rest, we need ambiguity. And we need to show that we're serious. We're serious about our own deterrence. We're serious about the deterrence that Ukraine provides. And that's what we have to do. And we have to send this united message in these difficult times.
And so before I turn to Minister Stefanishina, do you think that the experience of your government being voted out of office, the rise of the right, the fact we're seeing similar trends in Germany and France, and we're going to be hearing in a moment from a German parliamentarian, do you think that experience is going to deter other European governments from actually taking the kind of bold action that's needed?
I think there are many reasons for the rise of the populist right in the Netherlands. And I think that the support for Ukraine is not really one of them. I think that was not the main focus of our elections. I think if it would have been the focus, if the fear of the Dutch public of our own security would have been the #1 priority during the elections, probably the far right would have done worse than they have. On the other side, it's a fact that the coalition that was strong on Ukraine was voted out, including the biggest party, which is the party of Mark Rutte, who is going to be the next Secretary General of NATO, who has always been very vocal and very strong on Ukraine. So that would be the lesson that I would draw for the Netherlands.
Right. I'd like to ask you, Minister, but you've been talking